Welcome, everybody, to a special edition of Crossfire. We are coming from the Yom Tif of Yutes Kislev, Rosh Hashanah L'Chassidus, Chag Hagula of the Alter Rebbe, and we are coming up to Hanukkah, and we learned on the Hayom Yom of Yutes Kislev that obviously it's Rosh Hashanah L'Chassidus, but the Alter Rebbe, the Rebbe brings down at the end of the Hayom Yom that Atzayim Misvadus the Kabbalah Sachlotes Teves Bikfius Itin Lateres Hanigle V'Dach Barabim. It's a day to take upon yourself Achlotes Teves regarding setting times to learn Torah, Nigla, and Chassidus in public, and the Chizuk Udarke Chasidim Bi'avas Reim, and to strengthen the ways of Chassidim with loving one another, Avas Yisrael. And obviously, that certainly is expressed in mivtzoim, going out in the world, be it on a Friday, be it on a Hanukkah, be it on Shlichus, and bringing Yiddishkeit to life to these Yidden, bringing them closer to Yiddishkeit. And over the course of the next half an hour or so, we will have the pleasure of having two shluchim of the Rebbe who will be fielding questions that were submitted by you. We will begin by introducing our shluchim. We have Rabbi Levi Baumgarten, Shliach of the Rebbe to the Mitzvah Tanks in New York, as well as Chabad of Watermill of the Hamptons. Thank you very much, Rabbi Baumgarten, for joining us. And on the West Coast, we have Rabbi Chaim Mentz, Shliach of the Rebbe to Bel Air. Thank you very much, both of you, for taking time from your shlichus and spending it with us. And it means Hashem, over the course of this next half an hour or so, we will hopefully walk away with answers to our questions talmidim have asked, and better prepare ourselves for going out of mivtzoim on Hanukkah and throughout the entire year. So we will begin with Rabbi Baumgarten. We'll start off with, I guess, an easier question. How did you get your shlichus?
First thing is good yontiv to everybody. It's nice to be here and to join. And after the Rebbetzin passed away, I was approached by a few people, Rabbi Zalman Liberov, Rabbi Mendy Sharfstein, and they said that a mitzvah tank, a full-time mitzvah tank, a Chabad house on wheel is needed in Manhattan. And they started to look for people. And bottom line is, they approached me. I was working in Long Island, my brother, and they approached me. And of course, I spoke to my uncle, my dear uncle, Rabbi Groner from Australia, and Rabbi Levi Baumgarten, the Rebbe secretary, and we wrote a letter to the Rebbe. And I got an amazing, unbelievable answer that we are living with it till today and more. Really a special answer. So Baruch Hashem, and the Shlichus started basically towards the end of, right before the year of the Rebbetzin, and we're going Baruch Hashem since then. We've got quite a few mitzvah tanks since then, and the Rebbe's bracha that he gave then continues forever and ever. And the Atzlacha is amazing. Baruch Hashem.
I guess it's only fair that I send the same question over to Rabbi Mentz. A great way to start our Fabrengen here. How did you get your shlichus?
I would love to answer, but first, Rabbi Levi, could you share some of the words of the Rebbe's brachas? Because I'm waiting in bated breath. What was some of the excitement that you got from the Rebbe?
You know, Rabbi Mentz, you brought up something amazing. So if you don't mind, I don't know if this is for the kids, but being though you said something, I just want to tell you something. Probably something you don't know or you do know. So when I wrote to the Rebbe for my shlichus of the mitzvah tank, my dear uncle, Rabbi Groner, the Rebbe secretary, told me that the Rebbe hasn't answered shlichus in 3 months. For many shluchim I wrote in, there was 2 periods time that the Rebbe didn't answer shlichus for whatever reason is, which we don't know. But he told me that being though you're my nephew, I will put it on the top of the pile. And I was been working with my uncle in the back since 1980. But he told me you're not getting an answer. I called upon him. I gave it to him. 45 minutes later, he called me, said, you must come to my office immediately. I came to the office, he said, not only did you get an answer, but all the shluchim got an answer after that to go out on shlichus. On account, no question about it. So that was amazing. I never saw my uncle jump out of the chair. He was dancing, literally. Such a shlocha. Basically, the Rebbe's shlocha was I should have a shlocha meruba, and I should be go around and do the work. Push it. It was put it this way, it was an amazing answer. Just and your question that you asked, Rabbi Mentz, every month that I sent in a duch to the Rebbe, I want you to know it was amazing because I wrote in. I mean, what all the yarn that took place. The Rebbe would take this pencil, circle line, circle the whole paper, make arrows and stuff to all the things that I was telling the Rebbe that was done. It was like you could see the Rebbe was partial. It was the nachas was amazing. So thanks for that.
Good. No, I'm happy to hear that because the Rebbe, what the children should know is that the Rebbe is always and still is very excited to know what you did in the little things. How I got my Chabad house, I was not married. I was still single, and I started Tzivus Hashem here on the West Coast, and I started a program here in Bel Air, California. And then I did get married. I started trying to do a high holiday service here, and I was fishing Jewish people in Bel Air that belonged to every other temple in the area, and it just started. You just work the area, and before you knew it, you plant seeds. You write to the Rebbe, and here I am. And it's not always something that is given to you. Sometimes it's something that you create yourself. And I created Bel Air, the Chabad house here, and best move I've ever done. And it's seriously one of the proudest moments of my entire life was to be able to go and say, I now was given something that I created.
Thank you both. Okay, we're going to now go into some of the questions that the talmidim gave. If I could ask if you could keep the answers to 2 minutes or shorter, therefore we could try to cover more of as many questions as possible. We'll start with Rabbi Baumgarten. Why is mivtzoim so important?
Well, the main answer is because it's the Rebbe. The Rebbe is the one who initiated it. The Rebbe is the one who gave it to us. And the Rebbe is the one who said, this is the way we're going to conquer the world. So there's no greater anything mitzvah than mivtzoim, because it's directly from the Rebbe. Each one of the 10 mivtzoim is directly from the Rebbe, and that's why it's so important.
Thank you. Rabbi Mentz, how do you keep yourself motivated over the years on Shlichus, and how do you keep your balabatim motivated to keep growing?
You must understand, every single morning, and this is very true, you say, Moida ani lifonecha. Thank you, Hashem, that you believe in me enough, that you gave me your life. I woke up. I literally wake up every single day. I know what my schedule is, but I always know Hashem is going to lead somebody towards me or me towards them. And that is my excitement. You have no idea how exciting it is that every single day, something exciting will happen. How do I keep my balabatim excited in Yiddishkeit and keeping them growing? Very simple. I have to be excited. You see, when a manager and a coach is excited, he gets the team excited. I must learn. I must motivate myself. I continue learning things from the Rebbe. And every time I learn something, and every time I read something, it's coming up Hanukkah, I can't wait to get that message out to my guys or to whoever I'm meeting. So by me being motivated, it's like, guys, I got something to tell you. So when I speak to my balabatim or I speak to anybody on the street, it's because I have something. The word is, I'm going to use the word sell. I have something to give. And the reason why I use the word sell, because it says Torah is the best deschoida. Torah is the best merchandise. But when you have something to teach, to show them, to show how they are needed in what's happening, they're motivated because they feed off my excitement.
I just want to add something, if it's okay.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, you asked how you keep yourself excited. You have to understand something. Rabbi Mentz is in California, in a Chabad house. As you know, we didn't speak about it before. I also have the privilege of having a Chabad house in the Hamptons Watermill, which I do Thursday night till Sunday night, sometimes more. But how do you keep yourself motivated, like you asked, in a mitzvah tank when you're out there on the street? It's a lot different than a Chabad house. It's one of the probably most difficult jobs there is going out every day, I can tell you. And the way I keep myself motivated is Rabbi Mentz asked a question before, if you remember. He said, tell me, what was the answer from the Rebbe? I live every day with the answer of the Rebbe, knowing that the Rebbe is with me there the entire time. As a matter of fact, the Rebbe spoke by Fabrengen more than one time, and the Rebbe spoke that those who go on a mitzvah tank should know that I am going with you the entire time. And I'm sure you remember that, Rabbi. It's amazing. So I just wanted to add that because literally I live with the Rebbe every single day.
I want to add to that. You know, even though you have questions, this is a good conversation. A lot of times people go mivtzoim, they stand by the menorah, and then all of a sudden they hire bachrim or kids, whatever, to come to the neighborhood. I may have a white beard. I still stand by a menorah. And I got to tell you why. I get excited every time I meet a Jewish person. I feel like I'm Moshe and they came to Mount Sinai. I have a chance to bring them to Chassidus. I have a chance to give them a mitzvah. I have something that their whole life was waiting for. And if you study Chassidus enough, and I think these kids understand it, that everything is divine providence. Everything is hashgacha pratis. There's a reason why I met that person. That in itself is exciting, that Hashem set me up in a place that Rebbe is guiding me how to deal with this person. And I got to do the best job. And it's seriously, I stand at a menorah just like I am 13 years old. I'm a kid in a candy store, just waiting for the next Jew to come by.
Very good. Rabbi Mentz, let me just stick with you for a moment. Here's a question, because reason I'm presenting it to you, because I remember hearing you once speaking about this very question. So I liked it very much, so I wanted to present this question to you. What should I do when preparing to go on mivtzoim? How should I prepare to go on mivtzoim?
Every single person who goes, it makes no difference whether you just going on mivtzoim or you're a businessman. Know your product. Know what you want to talk to the people about. Be excited about it. Hanukkah is coming. Do you know how many Jews, and I'm talking seriously, how many Jewish people do not light a menorah today because they think it's a children's holiday? They think it's a holiday just to give presents to kids. Their kids moved out. Their grandchildren are on the other side of the country. You are a 7th grader, 7th grader, 8th grader, even a 6th grader. You walk to them. You remind them of their grandchildren. And you walk over to them as a smile and say, hi, happy Hanukkah. Do you have a menorah? And they go, oh, I have one. And you go and say like this, but could you light one for me and think of me? I'm like one of your grandchildren. Light one for me. You'd be shocked how many will smile at you and say, okay. You're going to light up a neshama like the oil in a jug. We know that miracle lasted for 8 days. We're Lubavitch. We got to rekindle their neshamas. You, Kinderlach, are the best salesperson for the holiday of Hanukkah, more than anyone else. You're cute to their eyes. You're beautiful to their eyes. You're respectful to their eyes. They wish all children would be like you. You are the Rebbe's Maccabean secret army that bring out the best success. But just know something about Hanukkah, because if they ask you something, have something to say that's cute about Hanukkah, guarantee you're going to have so much success.
Yeah, you wanted to add something? Okay, Rabbi Baumgarten here. This is actually a question which I think you have a lot to give. Is it okay to have people light the menorah in the mitzvah tank? I guess this must be coming from, I know over here on the East Coast, there's a lot of classes that rent mitzvah tanks. So this is a question that comes up quite often.
Well, the first answer is, if you do light a Hanukkah menorah in the mitzvah tank, you better make sure you're standing there and watching it. Chas v'sholom, nothing should happen. It should be safe. But of course, if a person's going to come and is going to say that he's not going to light it at home, which we want them to light it at home, because that's the whole point. or he's not going to, or he's going to whatever he's doing, of course I would get him to light it in the mitzvah tank, because you want him to do the actual mitzvah. There's no question about it. And of course, when I mean the mitzvah tank, of course, people come and light the menorah. But obviously, my goal is, as Rabbi Mentz mentioned before, you want to give a Jew a menorah and make it feel that it's theirs, and they could take the menorah home and kindle the menorah at home and light up their entire house. And that's what you really want to work on. They should take that menorah, bring it home, and bring light to their home. But of course, if they're not going to do it, or it's going to be possible, of course I would put it in the mitzvah tank, as long as I do the bracha to make the mitzvah, of course.
You know, a lot of people in Manhattan or New York may be going to a hotel because it's, quote, for them, the holiday season, and they're traveling, and they're not going to light it at the menorah. So, you know, Rabbi Baumgarten is 100% correct. Get them to do it there. But if they're not in a hotel, take it home. Yeah. This is holiday season. You have to remember that. They may not, they'll say, no, we're not going home. Do it here.
This actually leads up to the next question, Rabbi Mentz. What do I do if they are not interested in a menorah or not interested to put on tefillin? Should I push them? It might make a chilul Hashem.
When two Jews come together, it's already a positive thing. The fact that you already asked them, excuse me, are you Jewish? You lit something up with inside them. They may feel uncomfortable and they say, no, we don't want to be a part of it. And let me tell you something. The best thing you can do is say the following with a big smile. That's okay. You're such a special person, a special Jewish person. I'm happy to have met you. I wish you a happy Hanukkah. Put on the biggest smile. That's it. They walk away. What a beautiful child. Wish me a happy Hanukkah. But you also said the word, you're a special person. That in itself, they may turn around to the mitzvah tank 2 blocks away and say, you know, I think I need a menorah. Always use positive words. Always use a smile. They are going to come back, because the words that you said, God put those words into your mouth. When you say it with a smile and you mean it, you've already lit that little pach shemen in them. I wish you success, even with the smile, and even with the one that didn't want to take your menorah or brochure.
Could I say a short story?
Please.
I want to echo what you just said. What happens if they don't? Well, you know, in the mitzvah tank, that happens all the time, as you know, that they don't want to put on tefillin or take a menorah, like the rabbi said. But I want to tell you a short story that I think it's a beautiful story. So my dear uncle, Rabbi Grona, told me after when the Rebbe had the stroke, so the Rebbe's neurologist, who was not a Jew, when he was examining the Rebbe, he told the Rebbe, I must tell you an amazing story. One of his dear friends who was Jewish, he said now he found out that he was the doctor for the Lubavitch Rebbe. So he told me, I want to tell you a story. He said, I was walking down 5th Avenue by 42nd Street, and I met the mitzvah tank, and I met this rabbi. And as I'm walking by, this rabbi asked me if I'm Jewish. And basically, I was a little not so nice to him. And I brushed him off. And I said, no, leave me alone. And I realized that the rabbi just wanted to put on tefillin with me. He says, so I walked further. I went to my office. And as I got to my computer, the doctor's telling this to the Rebbe. As I got to the computer, I said to myself, here's a man standing outside doing work to try to bring Jews a little closer, people make the world a better place. He was so nice to me. Why was I so tough with him? All he probably wanted to do is ask me to do a mitzvah, put on tefillin. He tells the Rebbe this. He closed his computer. He went home and he went searching for his tefillin. He found his tefillin wherever it was, in a box in an attic. He found it. He said he took it out and he put on tefillin, all because a young man asked him one question: are you Jewish? Want to do a mitzvah? And even though he said no, like you said, he refused, but it had such a warmth and such a smile, he actually went and he told the Rebbe, and he's putting them on every day. So I wanted to add that.
Shkoyach.
Rabbi Levi, you most probably will see more miracles and see more of this kind of stuff. Got to write a book of your stories, not just what you heard from your stories on the streets of Manhattan could become a bestseller.
You're probably right. You're probably right, Rabbi. You're probably
I'll be one of the first to buy that book.
I am
no such
volunteering
thing.
my help.
No, I'm talking serious. The kids have to hear this. The stories on the mivtzoim and the after effects, mind-boggling, of the miracles that happen from it. And he's the foot soldier on the front lines. I'm Chabad, but you're on that front lines. Kids, you guys have to know, the kids that are listening, this man has seen it all and will still see new things tomorrow.
Amen.
Just by asking people, excuse me, are you Jewish?
Rabbi Baumgarten, here's an interesting question. If I try to be Makar of someone for a while and it doesn't seem to work, should I give up or keep trying? And he adds in parentheses, please do not answer me by saying that the Rebbe said that every mitzvah counts, because how long can one keep having energy to keep going?
Obviously, the answer is very, very simple, because the Rebbe taught us never to give up and to keep on going b'darkei shalom, b'darkei noyam, in the nicest way, in the most unbelievable way. As Rabbi Mentz mentioned to you before, I have so many people who have gone by the mitzvah tank, who have refused me, who have said no, and every week with a smile, and how are you, and will you do a mitzvah? And I can tell you over and over. I met a lady. Listen to me. I used to meet her every week. And would you light candles? No, no, no. And I would say, have a good Shabbos. God bless you. One day, as I asked her, she said to me, Rabbi, this week I am going to light Shabbos candles because you asked me every week and I'm going to do it. But let me give you a little quiz. This is going to be the first time in my life that I'm lighting a candle. You've been asking me for a long time. How old do you think I am? And the number one answer is you never say, because that'll be in trouble. So I started to Eke. She said, I'll tell you. She says, you're not going to believe it. I will be 90 years old this week. And because of the way you asked, and every time your beautiful people in the mitzvah tank, your boys ask, I am going to light this Shabbos, Friday afternoon, a candle, first time, because we didn't give up. We kept on going. And you know, every Shliach, every person has many stories of, if you could do it the right way and you don't give up, you're definitely going to penetrate. It's going to work 100%. It always works. Just a matter of time.
I want to add to that. There's so many stories which shluchim have been told by people in their community. Excuse me, you know, we go to this temple, we go to that temple. Every single time you meet these people, you say, Shalom, how you doing? Invite them for Friday night. Go out to dinner. You don't understand. Just by staying a friend and staying connected, that's how you're being the Makar of the Yid. You don't understand? Because you didn't go and say, okay, I have koiches for somebody else. This guy's not going to listen to me anyway. Why should I bother? No, there's no bother. The most beautiful thing is that you stay connected with the person. There's a guy literally he lives 2 blocks that way. He fought tooth and nail that my synagogue should not exist here. He brought me to the court, everything. Then he found out his children wanted to have a bar and bas mitzvah, each one of them. He had nowhere to go. But the funny thing was, as much as he was negative against me, every time I saw him at the shopping center or anywhere, I would say, how are you doing? I'm not going to say his name because there's no reason to say his name. I said, how are you doing? And then all of a sudden his wife called me up and says, would you teach my son how to put on tefillin and have a bar mitzvah? My parents want his Bubby and Zaidi would love to see him putting on tefillin. Yeah. The father came into the shul and he came over to me and he said, I can't believe it. The one place that I wanted to destroy is opening up the door to have my son's bar mitzvah. Never give up on a Jew. Always smile. It may not be every single time, do you want to do a mitzvah? You want to do a mitzvah? Sometimes just saying Shalom Aleichem, smiling. How is the family doing? That in itself is inching yourself closer So when he needs you, that's when it's going to happen.
Shkoyach. Rabbi Mentz, will stick with you. I think this is the last question I gave over to Rabbi Baumgarten. This is a bit of a flip side of a question. It happens sometimes that I am somewhere with my older brother, and when I ask someone if they are Jewish, for example, in an Uber or in a store, my brother tells me that it's rude, stop bothering him, or mind my own business. I love my brother and therefore feel intimidated and pressured to stop doing this, at least when he's around. What can I do? I guess the question could be taken peer pressure, classmates, friends, doesn't necessarily only have to be when there's a sibling. But this is a bit of a different question than meeting someone on the street. This is someone who they know. So it's a bit more closer to home.
The first line in Shulchan Aruch is, don't let anybody talk you out of your excitement. Be strong as a lion and go do what you got to do. I understand people are making fun of you, peer pressure, or your own brother says, listen, I love doing this. I'm not doing anything wrong. You don't want to do it, that's your thing. Respect me as I respect you. Never allow somebody to talk you out of it. There's always going to be people that will be making fun of who you are and how you do things. Just make sure what you're doing is the right way, the most respectful way, and the most loving way. And you will find success. I will add, the more successful you are, the Alter Rebbe writes in Tanya, that how come a Jew, when they're davening, for example, some of us think baseball scores in the middle of davening Shemona Esrei. Sometimes we're thinking about what we're going to do in recess. But when you're in the middle of recess, you don't even think about anything else except for recess. Why, in the middle of davening, does your mind go to crazy places? So the Alter Rebbe says, don't worry. You must be doing something so good called davening that the Yetzer Hara will come up and attack you and get your mind off from doing something so positive. If you're really doing good in mivtzoim and it bothers other people, you must be doing a good job. Stay the course, keep smiling, and don't worry.
Rabbi Baumgarten, I feel uncomfortable going on mivtzoim. Is that wrong?
No. Why is it wrong? We know in Hasidus, we've taught and we learn we have to work on ourselves. And you should know that sometimes when something is actually difficult for you, that's probably your inyan, what you got to do. So if you have a problem going on Mivtzoim, probably that is connected to you, and that's why it's giving you a difficult time. And that's why you have to work on yourself as much as you can to break yourself to actually go and do. As a matter of fact, I can tell you, I know people who have difficulty davening, and I tell them, or they have difficulty giving tzedakah, whatever it may be, and I tell them that is your inyan, because if it wouldn't be your inyan, it wouldn't bother you so much. But the fact that it's bothering you, it's your inyan. So you got to do whatever you can to break yourself and to go out of your way to try to do it, and you'll see by the end you'll be successful. It may be difficult a little bit because there's, as Rabbi Mentz mentioned before, there's the Yetzer Hara trying to fight you. But if you fight, you will definitely win, and it's okay. It's probably a good thing. It says if you have that feeling, because then you're going to do it even with a greater chayas, with more love and with more beauty. So yes, it's okay.
By the way, I want to add, he's 100% right in everything he said, Rabbi Baumgarten. I'm going to add one more thing. Do you know about tshuva, when they start becoming frum, there's always that one or two mitzvahs that, or even somebody who wants to convert to Judaism, it's like, this is too hard for me. Everything yet not. I can't keep Chol Yisrael. I just can't. And every Shliach and every rabbi goes and says, I'm not going to force it upon you, but you got to ask yourself the question, why is this giving you a hard time? Maybe that is the whole reason why you came into this world, besides to do a Jewish fellow, to do a mitzvah. But this is your spark. This is your mitzvahs that you must overcome. Later in life, there may be something else. When you overcome it, you're going to become the biggest superstar. Because everybody who had a problem with kashrus and everything, they usually try opening up a kosher restaurant, or they're doing everything possible to support kosher restaurants. You know why? What they fought the most against that gave him the spring. This now becomes the easier thing for me to do. So it's okay that you feel this. Overcome it. Work on yourself. You're going to be a great shliach. Don't worry about it.
Rabbi Mentz, we'll stick with you over here. What do I do if someone asks me a question that I do not have the answer to?
The greatest answer is, I don't know. Don't ever make something up. Second thing, make them feel like $1 million goes like this. Wow, that's a great question. I need to know the answer to that. Can I go ask my rabbi the question and get back to you? Give me a telephone number and I personally will call you back. Do you know how empowering that is, first of all, to you? A little 13, 14-year-old kid calling up a lawyer, a doctor, a businessman, a Wall Street person, a buddy, a Zaidi, somebody who went through college, went through life, and all of a sudden, I got the answer for you. They're going to go, wow. And then you add one more thing. If you go to Chabad.org, or if they live in a certain area, say, do you know there's a Chabad house right near you? That rabbi has a lot of answers to other questions. You just turned over his world forever. So say, I don't know, but try to say, I want to know that answer. He'll be impressed that you're honest, he inspired you, and you want to go back and inspire him.
And I want to add something to Rabbi Mentz, how right he is, because as you know, on the mitzvah tank, and as a shliach, but on mitzvah tank, as you mentioned before, there's so many different people that come in, and there's so many questions, and a lot of times I don't know the answer. And as Rabbi Mentz mentioned, I'd say to them, I don't know the answer, but I will get back to you. And as he mentioned, Rabbi Mentz, when you get back to them and you show you care and you show how important it is, you've done the greatest thing. They'll become your best friends then. So I all the time, if I don't know the answer, which I don't know the answer a lot of times, I say, I don't know the answer. Rashi says any day, I don't know the answer. You know, it's good for Rashi, it's good for us, right? So 100% Rabbi, and it works amazing.
Rabbi Baumgarten, we're going to stick with you, and we're going to ask you a question here, and I guess we'll see if you know the answer. What do I do if the person is left-handed and I have right-handed tefillin? Some people tell me to turn the kesha, the knot, around, while others tell me to slip the box on the arm backwards. What should I do?
That's a good question. And Baruch Hashem, now we have many lefties tefillins on the tank wherever we go. But what I do is I turn the tefillin backwards. I turn the tefillin around and I put the tefillin on them. I don't turn the kesha around because then sometimes you'll forget it when you put it on the other guy, whatever it is. So I turn the box around and I put it on them, on the tefillin, which all throughout the years, I've seen many people do that. But that's what I do. Today, that question is not too much for me because we always have righties and lefties tefillin with us. But it's a good question, and that's what I do.
Shikoyach. We're winding there. We're coming towards the end of the program. So I'm going to ask you both the same question. I have two questions here. I'm going to ask it to both of you. We'll start off with the first question, which is, what is the most memorable moment you've had on Shlichus? Or maybe if you don't want to use the right word, if the right word is not memorable, that defining moment, that aha moment. We'll start with Rabbi Mentz.
My aha moment was when I was 15 years old. Rabbi Castell came over to me and he gave me a slip of paper for Rosh Hashanah. Go to Downstate Medical Center and blow shofar in the medical center for the students there. They have dormitories there. Go and blow shofar for them. He then came to me on Hanukkah. I was 15 years old to go there again. So I went around Hanukkah and I was knocking on doors and asking, who needs a menorah, etc. On the 5th or 6th night of Hanukkah of that year, a couple of the students that were going to become doctors and nurses asked me, you are such a smart young rabbi. Would you like to teach us once a week? I'm thinking to myself, I'm 15 years old and these people are asking me 15? that was the greatest aha moment of my entire life. That I realized I may be small in years and small in knowledge, but I know so much, and it seems like I have a gift that I'm able to teach. That propelled me for the rest of my life. Always be prepared, always have something to say. And at the age of 15 and a half, I seriously was giving, I should say 15 and 3/4, I was giving a shiur twice a month at Downstate Medical Center for a year and a half. And I got to tell you something, I was like, they think of me as a rabbi. Now, of course, if I didn't know anything, I'd let them know I didn't know anything. But that, my dear friends, should empower you. Don't go and think that you need somebody to be 60 years old, 70 years old, 30 years old. Hashem led you to this person. You're able to go and do the job. Prepare yourself, have a smile. God bless you. You should have that same aha.
Rabbi Baumgarten.
I would like to respond to that question in two stories quickly, okay? So I was approached, every year I would go on, people would come to me from different parts of New York, whether different parts, all over, when they had fairs for different things. On Sunday they would make fairs and they would ask me to bring in mivtzoim tanks, and the mivtzoim tank would march through, and then we would stop and we would be there and do mivtzoim all day. It was amazing. It was actually one Sunday, they asked me before, and I had a very difficult time. I was busy with something else, but I said, you know what, I'll go. And I tell you the truth, but I don't know what it was. Something was going on. I couldn't even get people with me. I went myself in the tank, and I went to Queens on this fair, and we marched through, and it was a tremendous hatzlacha. People were coming on and filling in, ladies with the candles and questions. It was a tremendous hatzlacha. On the way back, I wasn't paying attention. I'm on Eastern Parkway. And when the Rebbe started dollars in 86, for a year or two, the Rebbe would give dollars, and then after he would go to the oil. Later on, the Rebbe started to go to oil on Monday, not on Sunday. I don't know if you remember that. But the Rebbe started to go on Monday. So I wasn't paying attention because I'm mivtzoim in the tank, and I'm on Eastern Parkway. I make a left turn on Albany Avenue, and the music is playing on the tank with Segeta Levidik, and I'm probably, what it is. You're mivtzoim, and you do your job, and as I make a left, I come to Union in Albany, and I see the Rebbe's car. And the Rebbe gets out. And as the Rebbe gets out, the Rebbe looks at the tank, he turns around, and he starts to swing. And the Rebbe starts, and as the Rebbe is going up the steps, the Rebbe is constantly turning like this to the tank, and he's constantly making all over and over. No one's there, only me, and I'm jumping whatever I can do. The Rebbe's making his hands. And the Rebbe gets to the top of the step. He turns around completely, and he looks at the tank, and the Rebbe starts to go like this on top of his head, starts swinging and going and going and going. And it was going on and on and on. And at the moment, I was thinking to myself, look what the Rebbe is doing. I mean, he's giving me all that koiches. And literally, I have to tell you, I didn't know what to do. Stop, go, because I wanted the Rebbe to stop. The Rebbe's giving out dollars all day. But that's one of the most memorable moments when you do mivtzoim and you come back and you get that. That is forever to see what went on. And that's an amazing, that story, obviously, it was an amazing concept for me. To tell you one of the great stories that, not a great story, just an effect that you have on somebody. I was on 42nd and Madison, and as I do, I was in the tank. It was quite a few years ago, and at a moment that I was by the door, and I swung the door open, and I saw a man go by. I said, "Excuse me, sir, are you Jewish?" He looked at me in a shock. He said to me, "I am." And I said, "Would you come in for a minute?" And he started to shake. And I gave a look. He had a cross on him. And I got him to come in. And I got him to sit down. And I asked him to take the cross, put it away in his pocket. And he told me he's Jewish. His mother's Jewish. Told me his mother's Jewish name. He told me, "I am a priest." And he said to me these words. He said, Rabbi, I walk by the Mitzvah tank on the other side of the street every week. And I am so careful. I want to face you. 1 week, I was dreaming about something, and I didn't realize, and I came in front of the tank, and the door swings open, and you ask me, are you Jewish? He came in, and I asked him to put on tefillin, and it took a while, but after 20 minutes, he put on tefillin, and something crazy happened. He put on tefillin, and he started to shake uncontrollably. His entire body was shaking. I'm talking about nonstop. It was like roaring for 15 minutes. Finally, I put my hand around him, and I controlled him, and I calmed him down. He put on everything, and that's when I realized that the Pintel Yid, the effect that we had on this guy was amazing. Changed his life totally. As he left the Mitzvah tank, he told me, you've changed my life totally. I have to really rethink everything, to go back and everything. What am I doing in my life, really? And to have that, as I told you the story with the Rebbe, going with the hand, with the making with the hand with the tank, and you do see such a thing. I literally saved a Yid, not only in life, but from being where he is and a priest, the worst, the worst of the worst. And the Rebbe saved him, took him out.
Close up. If there's a parting thought, a parting message, Baruch Hashem, we've covered so many lessons, so many thoughts. Even if a person is turning you down, you still should greet with him, obviously. Al Yevish Mipnei Amaligim, have confidence, that pride, that Jewish pride. What parting message could you give to the talmidim?
I want to give 3 points. Point number 1. Everybody loves going on mivtzoim because you're meeting people. The biggest success and the greatest shluchim are not the ones that make the most money. They may have the biggest buildings, but the most successful shliach, meaning how he gets more people to put on tefillin or makes families religious, are guys who sit and learn. I'm begging you, learn and get answers. Learn the Chumash and Rashi. Know the basics of your Yiddishkeit. Just have it in your head. Learn in the sifta. Learn as much as you can. That's the first thing to a successful shliach. Number 2, just because you're young and small, I'm letting you know that is the biggest weapon. That is the best way to get to a lot of people, because they still look at you as cute. They still look at you as, you know so much at such a young age. Okay, with your enthusiasm, you're very infectious. You're very loving. You're very, I want to be like you. So that's the second thing you should know. And the third thing is, when I'm saying the following words to you, don't go and say, but the Rebbe's not here. I'm meaning this. The Rebbe goes with you. After going on mivtzoim 3-4 times, you're going to start recognizing, as much as you think that you're great, you're going to realize a lot of my success is because something greater than me is with me and making me feel successful. We have the Rebbeinu Shalom's Torah to spread to the world. We have the Rebbe's Chassidus and Koiches to be able to bring every Jew to that. You are a Rebbe soldier. You were born into Lubavitch. You were brought to Lubavitch. You were signed by God to be part of the Rebbe's army. Eventually, other Jewish people will start recognizing they also have to do the Rebbe's work. But you are part of it. Go do it. And if you're a Shliach one day, God bless you. And if you end up being a businessman, you still have to do mivtzoim. There's no beating out of that. When you meet someone, you sell them insurance. Very good. Put on tefillin for a celebration. When you sell them a home, give them a beautiful mezuzah. You're a plumber and you're cleaning out their pipes. You'll notice a mezuzah not on the door. Give them a $50 mezuzah. They'll call you back. You're on mivtzoim wherever you go. You're a chassid of the Rebbe. You're a lamplighter. This is why we're doing this on Yutes Kislev, right before Hanukkah. Embrace who you are. God will bless you, and the Rebbe will lead you. Rabbi Levi, now it's your turn. Give your parting remarks.
I just want to also say that one of the most important things we do now, and this is very important for the children to know, that every time they go out and they get a person to put on tefillin, or a lady to light a candle, or to ask Rabbi Mentz to get a mezuzah on the door, or to eat kosher, they have to be very, very, very important to always remember to tell them, like the Rebbe told us by the end, every time you do a mitzvah, now you're doing a mitzvah for one purpose, to bring Mashiach now. The whole purpose the Rebbe said is now, every mitzvah we do is for one purpose, to bring Mashiach. Years ago, the Rebbe said it was maybe different, but now we have to bring Mashiach. So you tell a Yid that today you're going to put on tefillin, or you're going to eat kosher, you put on mezuzah, that is going to bring Mashiach, or light a candle. And the effect is amazing. And that's what kids have to know. They have to go on with mivtzoim. They have to realize that now we have to bring Mashiach. We have to make it happen. And by every mitzvah, every mivtzoim, we can do it. It's very important to know that.
Thank you very much. And I couldn't end off our webinar and with any greater message than what you just shared about Baumgarten. I wanted to mention at the top of the program that our Crossfire today is L'schus Refuah Shlema for two shluchim of the Rebbe, two very special shluchim of the Rebbe, who needed Refuah Shlema, and we're dedicating not only today's session, but all the mitzvahs certainly that are going to come out of it, for the Refuah Shlema for Harav Shimon Levi ben Leah and Harav Amitai ben Shoshana. They should certainly bless them with the Refuah Shlema Kreva. And not only should they continue their work on Shlichus, but there should be an increase. And obviously, like Rabbi Baumgarten says, Hakel K'dei Lehavi, it's Bias HaMashiach. I want to take the opportunity to thank Rabbi Baumgarten, to thank Rabbi Mentz for sharing this Fabrengen with us. It's more than just a question and answer session. It was a beautiful Fabrengen. And Mirza Hashem, the next time we get together, Mashiach will have already come. The Rebbe taking us out of Galus to the Gula Shlema. Take you from Yad Mamish now. Thank you both, and thank you everybody for joining in. And Batzlacha Rab Muflaga. Mashiach now.
Have a great one. Thank you for inviting us. And
Thank you
kids,
so much.
have success.
Amen. And Mashiach now.